The story of one painful losing trade that saved my career. A lesson from failure. There are moments in life when everything changes. Not because we wanted it to, not because we planned for it, but because failure forced us to face the truth we had been avoiding all along. For me, that moment happened on a single trade. A trade that cut so deep it felt like my entire world collapsed in one brutal flash. And yet, that very trade, the one that broke me down, the one that made me question if I had any right to call myself a trader, turned out to be the trade that saved my career. It sounds strange, almost contradictory, doesn't it? How can the worst trade become the best lesson? How can something that destroys you end up being the very thing that keeps you alive in this profession? Let me take you back. It was one of those mornings when I woke up with a dangerous sense of confidence. You know the kind of morning I'm talking about. The sun is shining, the coffee tastes perfect, and you open your charts convinced that today is going to be your day. The kind of day where the market seems to whisper directly into your ear, telling you exactly where it wants to go. I had been riding a streak of wins. Not small wins either, real, solid gains that inflated my confidence like helium in a balloon. Each trade had confirmed the story I wanted to believe, that I was finally in control, that I had cracked the code, that this market had nothing left to teach me. But arrogance is a silent poison. It creeps in slowly, disguised as confidence, disguised as skill. And by the time you realize it, it's already inside your bloodstream, clouding your judgment. That morning, I sat down, saw the setup, and thought to myself, this is it. This is the one. The entry looked perfect. The timing felt flawless. The conviction, unshakable. I sized up bigger than usual. Not recklessly, but enough to feel the weight of it. Enough that my heartbeat picked up just a little when I clicked the button. And then, the market turned. At first, I didn't panic. Losses are normal. Pullbacks are natural. I told myself it was just noise, just a shakeout before the real move. I added to the position. Average down, conviction. Belief. The voice in my head kept repeating, you know where this is going. You've seen this pattern before. Trust yourself. But the market doesn't care about your conviction. The market doesn't care about your belief. The market doesn't even care if you've been right 9 times in a row. It punishes arrogance. It humbles certainty. It strips away illusions with surgical precision. The price kept sliding. Tick by tick, candle by candle. Each drop was like a blade cutting deeper into my ego, into my account, into my very identity as a trader. And still, I held on. Because letting go didn't feel like losing money. Letting go felt like admitting I was wrong. And in that moment, admitting I was wrong was harder than taking the hit. So I clung to it, gripping tighter as the market dragged me down, like a drowning man clinging to an anchor, hoping somehow it will float. There's a moment in every losing trade where the pain becomes more than numbers on a screen. It becomes personal. It becomes emotional. I remember staring at the red, feeling the heat rise in my chest, my palms sweaty against the mouse, my mind racing with a storm of thoughts. If I close now, I lock in this loss. If I hold, maybe it'll bounce. If I was right before, I can't be wrong now. I have to win this back. That's the trap. That's the voice that destroys traders. Not the market. Not the price action. Not the red numbers on the screen. But the voice inside. The voice that whispers, you can't fail. You can't lose. You can't be wrong. I held on far too long. Long enough to watch the loss grow from uncomfortable to unbearable. Long enough to feel the sharp stab of reality sinking in. By the time I finally closed the trade, the damage was done. Not just to my account, but to my spirit. I sat there, staring at the screen, numb. Like someone had just ripped the floor out from under me. This wasn't just a bad trade. It was the trade. The one that forces you to face everything you've been avoiding. I wish I could tell you I handled it gracefully. That I journaled calmly, analyzed the mistake, and moved on with wisdom. But that's not what happened. I was angry at the market, at myself, at the unfairness of it all. I slammed the desk, cursed at the screen, paced around the room like a caged animal. I replayed every tick in my head, torturing myself with the what-ifs. What if I had just taken the stop-loss? What if I hadn't sized up? What if I had listened to the plan instead of my ego? Regret is a cruel teacher. It doesn't just show you what you did wrong. It forces you to stare at it until you can't look away. And in that misery, in that pit of self-hatred, I asked myself the question every broken trader asks at least once. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this isn't for me. But here's the twist. That trade, the one that almost broke me, was the trade that saved me. Because it forced me to confront the brutal truth I'd been avoiding. I wasn't in control. I wasn't invincible. I wasn't disciplined. I was lucky. I was careless. And I was blind to my own weaknesses. That loss didn't just take money. It took away the illusion I'd been living under. The illusion that I could win my way to mastery without facing my flaws. It stripped me bare. And in that emptiness, I had a choice. Walk away forever. Or rebuild from the ground up. I chose to rebuild. But this time, differently. I went back to my journal. I wrote down every thought, every feeling, every irrational decision that led me into that disaster. Not to punish myself, but to understand myself. Because trading isn't just about reading charts. It's about reading yourself. Your fear, your greed, your ego. I realized I wasn't battling the market. I was battling me. So I set rules. Hard rules. Never add to a losing trade. Never risk more than a set percentage. Always honor the stop. Not because rules make you a better trader, but because rules protect you from yourself. Slowly, painfully, I began to change. I sized down. I traded less. I focused on process over outcome. And something incredible happened. The wins came back. Not in a glorious streak of triumph, but in steady, controlled steps. And even when I lost, I didn't spiral. I didn't chase. I didn't self-destruct. Because that one catastrophic loss had already burned the arrogance out of me. It had already shown me the price of carelessness. And in its own twisted way, that trade had given me the greatest gift a trader can have, respect for the market, and humility toward myself. Looking back now, I realize something powerful. Every trader has that trade. The one that scars them. The one they'll never forget. It's not just about the money. It's about the shift it creates inside you. The way it forces you to confront who you really are when the pressure hits. That trade broke me, but it also built me. It taught me that failure isn't the end. Failure is feedback. Failure is direction. Failure is the mirror that shows you what success requires. And that's why I can stand here today, still a trader. Not because I avoided failure, but because I survived it. And because I chose to learn from it instead of letting it define me. So if you've ever taken that painful loss, if you've ever stared at the screen with your stomach in knots wondering if this is the end, I want you to remember something. That moment doesn't have to break you. It can save you, if you let it. Because sometimes the trade that hurts the most is the very one that saves your career. And that is the strange, beautiful, painful truth of trading.